Alex Hormozi absolutely hates morning routines. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Why are you doing this, Alex? I'm just kidding. Today we're analyzing the idea behind Alex Hormozi not condoning, not being a fan of morning routines, and actually saying some specific things on the subject of you needing to do a morning routine and whatnot. So let's dive straight into it today, guys. Let's analyze it, let's break it down, let's see what we have to say. Now, first and foremost, I have to say that Alex Hormozi is the absolute king of when it comes to business and developing a business, growing your own business, scaling your own business, giving you advice for sales, advice for generally growing your business, right? Business tips, business ideas, all things business, right? Top level entrepreneur, the king, the GOAT, right? So let's analyze some of the things he says about health, about your ability to work, your ability to be efficient at your work, and being an entrepreneur and working as well, working efficiently, right? I have my notes here, right here, because there are quite a lot of things and videos as well that I have noted down that we will see together and analyze together, and I will comment on. So first of all, one of the things that I really agree with Alex is that many entrepreneurs, many young entrepreneurs think that in order for them to be successful, they have to add a bunch of things into their lives. They have to add the certain specific protocols in their lives in order for them to be successful, okay? So for example, if I want to have the same success as Alex Hormozi, I have to do the same things that he does, or I have to add this to my routine that he also does in order to get the same results. And that is absolutely not the case. The things that will get you results, the things that will get you to some place better than what you're right now is persistence and your consistency. And if you're doing the work that moves the needle forward and not some magical, mystical things that you're doing in your daily lives. The next thing that Alex says that I'm really agreeing with is the fact of you depending on some mystical, magical, fantastical routines is the same as being dependent on crutches, okay? So essentially what that means is that whenever you are depending so strongly and heavily depending on some routines, you're making it impossible for yourself to do the same amount of work, do the same efficiency of work when not adhering to the routines and protocols, because you're now sort of like mentally depending on those routines in order to get work done. The key here that he says is that you need to be ready to do the work no matter the circumstances, and that is really true. You don't have to do 2 hours of something, 2 hours of running, yoga, meditation, cold exposure in the ocean, in the lakes, shouting affirmations for another 30 minutes in the mirror, having a huge whiteboard and writing affirmations, and like you don't have to do that in order to be successful and do stuff that moves the needle forward with your business efficiently. You know, if you are depending on stuff like that, you have crutches. Another thing that he says is about work ethic. If you don't have the work ethic, routines are not going to be transforming you into a better entrepreneur. That means that the things that you can do for your health can help you, but if you don't have the work ethic and persistency, doing a cold shower will not get you there, right? Going for a walk will not get you there. Meditating will not provide you with work ethic. And another thing that Alex says that I really love is that the case with most champions out there is not that they have something that you don't. It's that they don't have something that you do. And that something is the off switch. And this all comes down to persistency, consistency, okay? Doing the work consistently and not being dependent on some magical routines in order to get the work done. This is his idea, this is his point, and I'm really strongly agreeing with that point. However, another thing that Alex said, that's on one of his videos, he said that if you have to take something to fall asleep, that is a crutch, okay? Hundreds of years ago, no routines, no blue light blockers, and no coffee were available, okay? However, hundreds of years ago, people weren't on their computers all day, every day, weren't inside their houses with fake lighting, with fake screens and devices all day, and therefore disrupting their biology. So I will disagree with that. Why? Because in today's age, we are disrupting our biologies through fake lighting, and back hundreds of years ago, people were following their natural 24-hour rhythms, okay? Because the lighting was not as available as it is today. So hundreds of years ago, people were following what was available. So they were lighting their environments with candles and torches and were going about their day in the hours that the sun was out. So this was according to their biology, and therefore no health issues were occurring because of that, because they were disrupting the biology as we are doing today. In the Western world, world, in the Western society, chronic diseases are going up, and insomnia is going up, depression is going up. Almost everything that we're doing is not in accordance to our biology, and this has, as a result of that, chronic diseases, depression, anxiety, all the things are going up, are increasing. So people in hundreds of years ago did not have access to blue light blockers, but people hundreds of years ago were not on their computers and inside their houses on fake lighting and light bulbs 24 hours open and going on the grocery shop and being wide awake for like the next 5 hours. That was not the case, because people, yes, they did not have blue light blockers, but they did have access to natural lighting and they were following the 24-hour rhythms of the sun. People hundreds of years ago, they did not have social media. Their minds were not in different time zones. Their minds were in the time zone that their bodies were. So they didn't have to stay up late to work for some client from their phones and therefore disrupting their 24-hour cycle, their circadian clock, and therefore every single process out of your hormone production, out of your body. That was not the case hundreds of years ago. We know that that was not the case because the data suggests as well. Increased rates of depression, increased rates of diseases, increased rates of every negative thing that you can find is actually a thing that is according to data. I'm not making this up. Alex is not making this up, but we have to see and analyze the data that exists out there. He also said that hundreds of years ago, people did not have these weird rituals that we must do to feel more productive. That is true, because people hundreds of years ago were working in accordance to their biology. So if you are today working on your computer and seated all day hunched over, you have to do something in order to optimize your work environment, your biology, because you are so strongly working against your biology, and you have to make sure that the lowest hanging fruits are being attacked in order not to develop diseases, not to totally disrupt your hormones in your body. And as a digital entrepreneur, your suboptimal state of health will directly translate into a suboptimal mental state. Yes, if you don't have the work ethic in the first place, you should not be concerned with optimizing your health. But if you do have this, if you do have a business, if you're trying to scale your business, and if you're not optimizing your biology to the fullest extent, you can only go so far. And this is because optimal health is going to be translated in optimal mental state. And the only thing that you're working with as an entrepreneur is not your arms. You're not a bodybuilder, you're not a plumber, you're not a construction site worker, you're not working with your arms, you're not an athlete, you're not a physical athlete, you're a mental athlete. So the only thing that you're working with is your mind, the thing that is trapped inside your skull, inside your head, your mind. This is your only effective tool. So if that's not optimized, because quite frankly, you're not working in accordance to your biology, what you're doing every opposite thing for your biology, that means you wake up, the first thing you do is you stay home, you start working until the time you go to bed, and you're feeding on protein chips, on protein drinks, and tuna. You can best believe that the things that you're doing are not conducive to optimal health. Neither your gut microbiome, neither your circadian clock, nothing. Now, what are these weird rituals that people did not have to do hundreds of years ago? That were like morning walks, cold plunges, meditations, okay? Now, actually, hundreds of years ago, as I've stated here, people actually were thousands of times more active than we are right now, spent more time in nature, and also in cold temperatures. We know that this is a fact, right? So the thing is that what we're now trying to do with all those practices, with like a cold plunge, you will turn on your body's defense mechanisms. Now, in today's day and age, we are hot, we are warm, content, fed all the time, everything is good. When that is the case, there is absolutely no reason for your body's defense mechanisms to stay on, and therefore they get complacent. What is the result of complacency? The result is that you get weaker and older faster, because your body's defense mechanisms are not turned on. Hundreds of years ago, people were actually active because there were no such thing as digital entrepreneurs, or at least in the actual rate as of today. So people were actually active, going about their day, walking from the majority of the day, being exposed to sunlight, being exposed to cold temperatures, and not having the heater on 24 hours, staying inside their houses. And they were actually doing those things subconsciously without having to do them, without having to implement them as a practice in their day. So therefore, they were more in accordance to their biology. They didn't have to do that in order to be efficient. They did it as a matter of fact. They did it anyways. And therefore, every single one of the chronic diseases back there was significantly lower, as well as testosterone. We know that for a fact that testosterone levels are decreasing at least 1% every year. So if you go back, rewind, let's say hundreds of years, that is 100% more testosterone than what we have today. And that is for 100 years. Hundreds of years ago, that is 300, 400 years ago, there was much more different. Now let's analyze what does Alex says about diet. Okay, now Alex is a big guy. Alex is a huge guy, muscular guy, lean guy. But the thing is that if you're muscular, huge, and absurd in terms of musculature, that doesn't make you the pinnacle of health. We know for a fact that there are dozens and dozens of bodybuilders that are looking big and huge, but they're inside their metabolic disaster, and that is not conducive to optimal health. So what about the diet of Alex? What about his diet protocols? We have seen lots and lots of videos of him saying that the Hormozi diet is like protein shake, tuna, and something really cheap, really effective, really quick to get on the go. It is very convenient. It saves time. Yes, that is really true. Okay, back in the day, like 5 years ago, I was actually eating more for looks and more for what's easy and convenient and what's cheap rather than what's actually good for me. So I experienced that firsthand. So essentially, for example, tuna, which is something really, you can get the package of tuna, you can swallow it, you can like inhale it and then go about your day, right? 20 grams of protein like that, boom. The thing is that big fish like tuna, for example, we know for a fact, the data has shown us times and times again that it is full of heavy metals such as mercury, and the build-up of mercury in our body is extremely carcinogenic and extremely bad for your hormones. So you're saving time and wasting time at the same time. You're saving time from right now and borrowing time from the future, from health, okay? We also know that stuff like processed carbs and sugars that are in most cases in protein bars and protein shakes and super processed stuff like the protein shake that one of Alex's videos, we know that refined carbs and sugars cause inflammation to your gut. We know that. That is not something that I'm telling because I faced. This is a fact, okay? This is based upon research. So what does happen when you actually inflame your gut lining? The thing that happens is that you are inflaming your gut lining, and through that you're causing all sorts of chronic diseases. We know through the ancient times that all of the sorts of the diseases, of chronic diseases, and that is based upon dozens of research, every single chronic disease like derives from inflammation, from chronic inflammation, and that is asthma, arthritis, diabetes, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Every single chronic disease that you can find derives from chronic inflammation, and especially to your gut. Now also, the gut's microbiome is something really valuable and something really precious to have in an optimal health in your daily lives. Why is that the case? Well, your gut produces almost every single one of the important hormones that affect your mental state, and also neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine that directly affect how you feel. Also, hormones like CCK are produced in your gut as a result of your gut functioning optimally. If your gut does not function optimally, the same hormones like CCK can be broken down into smaller hormones like CCK4, which, as a matter of fact, you only need 1/20th of a milligram of CCK4 injected into your bloodstream to cause a full-blown panic attack. How nice is that, right? And that is only one of the aspects of having an intact microbiome. The other thing is that you need a healthy microbiome to be able to digest all sorts of foods, especially if you're eating a high nutrients diet that you need to be able to digest those foods. If you're not having a diverse microbiota in your gut, if you don't have a variety of different gut bacteria, your body's not going to be able to break down and digest diverse sorts of foods, okay? The nutrients are not going to be able to be broken down and absorbed, are going to be stored as energy and fat. So that triggers your system to lean towards obesity. That is what the research shows us as well. So essentially, your healthy gut microbiome is translated into an ability of your body to be able to create those hormones, to synthesize those hormones efficiently, and therefore have an optimal state. This is why we have the gut-brain axis, because every single one of those neurotransmitters and hormones are directly affecting how you feel. If your gut microbiome is not there, is not healthy, is not balanced, you will face issues like inflammation, brain fog, stress, anxiety, acne, breaking out, having bloating issues, having gasiness, which are all side effects, symptoms of inflammation. Do you want to have inflammation, especially when you want to have your mental state as optimized as possible? The answer is no. That would not be the thing you want to have. Do you want to have more time as an entrepreneur? Do you want to be able to eat quick? Don't have to think about food? Don't have to spend millions in food? Yes. Do you have to go through the means of buying canned stuff, tuna, protein shakes in order to be able to save time? No. You have things like cheese, butter, eggs, beef jerky, things like that are far better. Things like fruit, things like honey, dairy, things like that will save you the same amount of time and at the same time are unprocessed and far greater for your microbiota, okay? So you don't have to go through the means of following the Hormozi diet in order to be healthy. That does not make you healthy. That simply saves time and disrupts your gut microbiome. That's the only thing that it does. It does not make you healthy. It has protein, but protein does not mean health. Now, I have a video here that I'm going to be watching with you, and we're going to be commenting here, okay? Let's watch that.
Alex, can you tell me what your routine is? Can you tell me the millionaire routine, the billionaire routine, whatever? What I'm going to tell you is going to blow you away, because what everyone expects is that they have to add things to what they're currently doing. You look at your morning and think, oh, whatever he's doing, I'm going to add that into what I'm currently doing. When the reality is most of the people who are further ahead of you are just not doing things that you are doing. And so you need to look at the things they are not spending time on that you are wasting your time on. And so that means that not necessarily doing your cold plunges, your orange glasses and the finger toe shoes and the affirmations in the morning and staring yourself in the mirror and doing your pump up speech. Instead, drink your cup of coffee, get to work, and realize that the work is the thing that's going to move forward. And sometimes the doing needs doing.
100% agree. As I said before, you don't have to look at some, for example, millionaires, CEOs like Chuck Dorsey. I think he walks to his office every single day on foot, right? He used to do that as well. So in order for me to get the same success like this kind of person, I don't have to do the exact same things. I don't have to add stuff into my routine to be able to be successful, simply because the only thing that will get me there is the work, okay? Now, it's not a matter of you being able to add stuff into your routine. It's about doing some things that are really high ROI that will optimize your biology and optimize your mind in order for you to do the work that you're doing with more efficiency. And that is not requiring hours and hours. That can require, for example, my morning routine only needs 40 minutes to an hour max, okay? So does that mean that I'm going to be waking up, going for a 2-hour walk, shouting affirmations in the mirror, pump up speech, wearing my blue light blockers, drinking potions in the morning, doing stretching for 2 hours, and then by the time that it's already afternoon, I'm going to be starting working? No, I'm attacking the lowest hanging fruits for my day right up on the get-go, right after waking up, to make sure that my mind and biology is optimized for wakefulness, energy, focus, rather than if I have just woken up, drink my cup of coffee, and jumped straight into work, okay? And if you're doing that, by the way, I can arm you with quite a few tools to why that is not the case, why you shouldn't be doing waking up, drink a cup of coffee, jump straight into work. There are quite a few reasons why you should not be doing that. Now, I have another video for us to analyze, and that video is, let me open that right now.
Most people spend most of their time doing shit that doesn't matter. You don't need to create some magical morning routine where you sing a flute, the journals, and all the other shit. Like, there's work to be done, and the question is, how quickly can I begin that work? That's it. I had this guy reach out to me and he's like, dude, I got this coach. He's got me doing like morning walks, red light sauna, and I do a cold plunge, and I do my gratitude journal. He's like, by the time I'm done my morning routine, it's like 11 a.m. The perfect routine would be you wake up and you immediately work because you've trained yourself to be able to do it.
Absolutely. As I said, you don't have to do it 28 step like Alex says, morning routine. You need to find a way in which you can very successfully and optimally reduce the time between when you wake up and you start working efficiently. There is a sweet spot. More specifically for most people, there is a sweet spot. That does not mean wake up, do the work right away. That is not going to be making your work optimal, and that is going to be resulting in you losing energy midday, not being able to be as efficient in conducting high quality, meaningful work. There is a sweet spot. It's not black and white. You need to do the highest ROI things that will get you the most bang for your buck and are actually things that will optimize your biology. And I'm not saying this as a guy that thinks that way. This is the fact. This is the biology. This is the research behind stuff. For example, what would viewing 5 minutes of sunlight do to your body, to your biology in the morning? What would be the result? Okay, the result is, as you know by now if you're following me for a while, that you're going to be optimizing your circadian clock, your energy and wakefulness hormones throughout the day, and going to be setting your pathways for 14 hours from now for the secretion of melatonin down the line, and you're going to be ready to fall asleep. This is one side of the spectrum. I'm not going to be going full hog and explaining everything about why is getting 5 minutes of sunlight during the day rather to waking up, opening your eyes, sipping coffee, working, okay? There is a sweet spot. That sweet spot is definitely not doing flutes, affirmations for 2 hours in the mirror, running down the street without your socks on in order to ground, and doing weird stuff like that. So that's not the case. Let's go and continue with other videos that I can comment on. I have another video of Alex stating the fact that, because we know how big of a fan Alex is of not being a pro morning routine kind of guy and wakes up, drinks coffee, works. So let's see what he actually has to say about morning routine. Like, what is his actual morning routine? What does he actually do when he wakes up? How does he approach his day at work as a successful entrepreneur? And let's see how his approach to health is as Alex Hormozi himself.
And then you get up, you go make a cup of coffee, and you sit there for, like, how long is it until you're actually working in your office?
Probably 45 minutes. Probably 45 minutes. Layla and I hang out. We have our coffee, we watch the sunrise, chit chat about the day, chit chat about whatever. and then we work. And I mean,
interesting. So they wake up, they watch the sunrise, they chat with each other, and it takes them 45 minutes to start working. Now, that's not, as he says, wake up, open your eyes, coffee, work. It is actually, the science behind that is quite interesting, because subconsciously he's doing some things that are optimizing his biology. As you know, viewing the sunrise, and I don't want to be a complete nerd and geek right here, but the thing here is that he's actually treating his biology in a way that supports focus and energy and high quality work. Even though he doesn't feel like he's doing as the highest quality of work, and he doesn't feel like he's as energetic. I will get onto that as well. But when you're viewing the sunrise, for example, those wavelengths, the orange, blue, white wavelength of the sun, especially when the sun is on a low solar angle, have big and strong signals to your brain to set your wakefulness hormones. They tell your body, those wavelengths tell your body and brain through sending signals to the eye nerves, to the optical nerves, to the melanopsin cells, that it's time to wake up, it's time to start secreting cortisol, it's time to sync your circadian clock. So this is one of the lowest hanging fruits that Alex does to sync his circadian clock and start optimizing his hormone for wakefulness. Another thing that he does is that he doesn't start his day with straight off to work. He does some mind stimulation, he does some positive, happy hormone secretion, oxytocin, serotonin, and that is from connecting with his loved one, Alex Hormozi. So his partner and Alex sit and chit chat with each other and watch the sunrise. That is a perfect combination to attack the lowest hanging fruits and to start secreting a chemical cocktail in your brain that will set your day up for energy, wakefulness, and being contained, not being overreactive. This is some of the things that Alex does that actually does with his morning routine. So that is things that he claims that he does on that podcast with Derek. So another thing, that if you start working straight out of bed, if you start your day with drinking coffee within the first 10 minutes, what that's gonna do is that the morning energy hormones you have in your system that is well needed for support of your immune system and optimal function of your immune system, for optimal health, for optimal energy levels, optimal brain function, for every single process in your body, is cortisol, okay? So that cortisol is going to be a natural peak, a natural pulse, and you want that to be first thing in the morning. How do you induce that? By viewing the sunlight. And most primarily, the sunset and sunrise are two very, very strong cues that your body knows what time of the day it is. We know that that is the case with Alex. That is one of the things that he does. So viewing the sunrise, okay? This is going to be signaling the cortisol release. However, whenever you're drinking coffee prior, like within those first minutes of waking up, and not waiting for a specific amount of time to actually consume your caffeine, as I say in large on all of my videos, what's that gonna do is that's gonna shorten the amount that cortisol requires in order to reach that peak, and therefore you are going to be experiencing an afternoon crash with your energy, okay? This is why most entrepreneurs are so heavily dependent on caffeine, and this is why Alex as well enjoys his coffee very, very heavily as well. So if you are going to be removing that coffee part and wait for 90 minutes after waking up to drink your coffee, you're going to be preventing the afternoon crash. You're going to be enjoying your day with more stable energy levels and not having the need to indulge in 5 other cups of coffee, which is going to be disrupting your circadian clock, energy levels, and sleep quality, okay? Now let's dive deeper into this. And so what Alex does is that he wakes at 4 to 5 a.m. and works until midday for especially his deep work blocks. What that's going to happen is, because he wakes up so early and there is no many distractions, as he says, there are no many DMs, no many messages, everyone is asleep about that time, and by the time that it's afternoon, he has most likely gone over his deep and demanding tasks while it's still midday, right? And this is really important because he is depending on solitude. What solitude does is that it induces your brain to enter that high quality deep focus state. When you remove distractions from out the side and you get into those ultradian rhythms and you actually leverage them to your biggest capability, to your best potential, you will get the best out of your focus and out of your high quality work, okay? So those are some few low hanging fruits that Alex depends on and leverages to be able to generate money, to be able to move the needle forward with his business, okay? Alex has stated in large ad nauseum that he does not agree with religiously following protocols, okay? He is not a fan of religiously following protocols, but he religiously follows strict sleeping schedules. He also mentioned that in the same podcast with Derek, because he and Leila have been experimenting with sleep time, he mentioned that they changed their sleep times because they figured out that they're getting better quality sleep. So he's really paying attention to his sleep as well.
Sleep, by the way, I don't want to forget, your sleep hygiene is like your like a militant schedule, go to bed at, what is it, like 8 or 9 or something? Like you're pretty rigorous about that, right?
Yeah, it used to be. We go to bed a little bit later now. We both noticed that we felt like we were getting better quality sleep going to bed a little later. So now we go to sleep around like 10.
He says that he's not religiously following sleeping protocols, but he actually is, okay? The thing is that he adheres to a consistent sleep and wake schedule, okay? He says no to bedtimes that are different on weekends and weekdays. So he adheres to a specific time protocol. That is quite religious. That sounds quite religious, right? And it is really important for your circadian clock as well. So I get the point why he does that. But he says that he is not a fan of religiously following sleep protocols. So that is kind of controversial, isn't it? Now, another thing that Alex has stated is that he has deleted all social media from his phone, especially when he was in the early stages of reaching 7 figures, when he didn't have leverage and it was really important for him to manage his time properly. It was really important for him to get into deep work, uninterrupted work, and now that he has leverage, time management is not as detrimental, okay? So he has really importantly stated himself that time management, being able to work efficiently, is very important. For the sake of that, he had deleted all of the social media so that his brain to be able to work more efficient. So we know that how important it is to be able to work efficiently as a high performer, even if you're Alex Hormozi. So Alex also has stated that whenever he gets the chance to sleep, to acquire high quality sleep, to sleep for 8 hours, he feels like a newborn child. So imagine if you had Alex Hormozi, the absolute pinnacle of business growth and business development, and have him on a strictly optimized schedule when he feels like a newborn child every day, all day, 24/7, and has the opportunity to be able to funnel all that high quality work. That would be crazy, right? That would be absolutely phenomenal. But is that his goal? I don't think that his goal is to be an optimized machine. But the thing is that the conclusion of this, guys, is that you don't have to overcomplicate your routines. You don't have to be depending on things in order to be able to conduct high quality deep work. In the other side of the spectrum, you don't have to be in complete opposition of your biology. If that is the case, you're not going to be having a lot of energy. You're not going to be able to be focused. You're not going to be able to have solitude in order to get into deep focused work. And you're also going to be depending on stimulants, caffeine, and your health is not going to be optimal because you're going to be feeding on tuna, protein shakes, and stuff like that to fuel your body. But in the reality, what you're doing is disrupting your gut microbiome, disrupting your circadian clock, and not working in accordance to your biology. Okay? Now, it is really important for you to keep in your mind that the only single thing that you're using to do work with your business is your mind. This is your tool as a digital entrepreneur. And when that's not optimized, your work quality is not going to be optimized. The amount of hours that you need to be put into work are going to be more, are going to be longer. And as a result, your sleep quality is going to suffer. And as a result of your sleep quality suffering, your performance the next day is going to suck as well. Your memory, learning abilities, your focus, you're going to be depending on stimulants, caffeine, and even worse, drugs. We see a lot of entrepreneurs in the modern space depending on drugs, on A-class drugs to get work done. Is this something that you want, or is working like a machine of focus something like you want? Do you want your body to be able to funnel all that high quality performance, high quality work into your business? Or do you want you to be fighting with your biology constantly, dealing with chronic issues while trying to chase your tail around the block, trying to get some work done, depending on stimulants, depending on caffeine, being depressed, anxious, trying to desperately do work and be a mental masturbation productivity kind of guy? So that was everything I had to say for this video today, guys. I absolutely support and absolutely am a fan of Alex Hormozi's videos. I really think that he's the pinnacle of business. He's the pinnacle of entrepreneurship, especially in today's age. But I don't really think that he's the pinnacle of optimal health. And that's not a bad thing, right? He looks amazing. He looks phenomenal. He's an absolute beast. And I don't think that he really wants to be an optimal health. The only thing I think he cares about is being able to save time, work. And I think that I really truly think that if he were to optimize his biology to the greater extent, he would absolutely be the king of the world. That's what I think he is. Because imagine being really extraordinary and a god while being suboptimal, and being suboptimal for so long that you feel love, this is the new norm. Imagine changing that, being extraordinary, having that work ethic, having that persistence, and also adding to the mixture optimized biology, hormones, bodily functions, and optimal health. This is the equation for absolute success and conquer, okay? So that's all I have to say for today, guys. That's all I had to say for Alex Hormozi, the king, the goat of business and entrepreneurship. I hope you really enjoyed the video. That it was not my intent to be able to roast Alex. I just simply stood the facts. There are only studies and research that is actually stating those facts. It's not me, it's not my experience. I'm not a bigger entrepreneur than Alex by any means. I just like to read studies. I just like to work with entrepreneurs as well and help them optimize their performance and optimize their health in order to funnel that new growth, that new energy, new focus, and optimal performance to their business, okay? This is something that I'm specialized in, and this is something that I'm spending the majority of my day researching. This is why I thought that I could provide some studies and research, some facts about that in regards to the opinion of Alex Hormozi on that topic as well. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like down below. Share it with your friends that also support Alex Hormozi. Let them know about some facts and about what happens to your body when you're actually adhering to such protocols. And I really cannot wait to see you on the next video, guys. Peace.